Hey everyone, Shane Malika with Phyxius Power Building here, coming to you with another episode. You can see this one probably is not going to be a workout video or anything like that, going over the anatomy and such. Today I want to spend just a few moments talking about nutrition and trying to simplify it at this point, because you know what, if you go on the internet nowadays, it is really tough to figure out what to eat, what not to eat. It seems like no matter where you go, you get to the point where you wonder, can I eat anything other than water or drink water and everything? So it gets really complicated. And what I tell people is we just got to simplify it, all right? And know, how to kind of put things in perspective, portion things out, and really understand truly what does moderation mean, all right? Because we hear it all the time, moderation is the spice of life, or it's okay to have these foods as long as they're in moderation. Unfortunately, it just seems like our society doesn't know what moderation truly means anymore. So I think where we want to start with it right now is almost redefining to a certain extent, that original food pyramid that we've all seen, that we've all grown up with since we were probably pretty young and everything, where, it's really gotten to the point where it's not effective. It doesn't work in our society. And if you don't believe me, just look out your door. Look at people walking down the sidewalks or in the grocery store or things like that. People have gotten fluffy, if you want to put a good term to it or a term to it. And the reason why is very simple. All right. If you look at how people ate back in the 1940s, the 1950s versus now, I mean, it's night and day difference. People in the 40s, the 50s, 1960s, they ate very, I hate to say it this way, very plainly, very single food ingredients. They had protein, they had vegetables, they had a starch, and a glass of milk, and that was good. And yeah, the funniest thing is, they drank, they smoked, and believe it or not, their life expectancy is now greater than the life expectancy of Americans today. This is the first time in American history where life expectancy is actually less than the previous generation, and they've attributing that a lot to the foods that we eat each and every day. I know people are like, well, look at all the environments we live in, and sorry, try again. What you put into your body each and every day makes more of a difference than where you sit in your office or the city that you live in. All right, let's just get right down to it. So I think we really need to go back to that basic style of eating and put it into today's society. All right, because today's type of eating is, we know this. There's a lot of processed foods, all right, that we think are more convenient, and everything, or they're cheaper, or whatever it may be. We eat a lot of processed foods during during the portion of our day, and that creates problems, right? It creates issues for many reasons. One, because your body is getting an abnormal amount of sodium, it's getting an abnormal amount of sugar, and the types of sugars and the types of ingredients, the chemicals that are in all those processed foods, your body doesn't know what to do with those damn things because it's not used to it. It's called evolution, people. We have evolved to consume certain types of foods, and now that we have all these man-made foods that are being put together and we're consuming, the body says, "Whoa, I don't know what to do with this crap." All right. So livers, kidneys are working overtime. Your body doesn't know what to do with it. Store it as fat and everything. And what you're finding is with most of those processed foods, they're calorically dense, all right, high in calories, but not very nutrient dense, all right, low in nutritional content, which is not a good recipe for a healthy living, healthy lifestyle. So what I'm going to do right now, like I said, I just think we need to redefine things a little bit and, kind of take a look at maybe a new food pyramid. All right, a new way to look at food in terms of how much to consume of what, right? And possibly, and I think by going with this concept as I've outlined here, it will produce a more natural, healthy lifestyle. Now, I get it. For people out there, you're probably going to be looking at these things. We have some people who are like, well, those foods, even though they're vegetables or they're fruits, those are the glycemic index is extremely high, and blah, blah, they're going to go on and on. So, no, you shouldn't eat, carrots. I've heard this. Don't eat carrots. Their glycemic value is very high. Are you telling me that eating a carrot is unhealthy? Bullshit. All right, try again. People are overanalyzing these things. Now, if you're looking to step on a stage at a bodybuilding show, you are going to have to make sacrifices. You are going to have to get very plain and very basic to it. And the reason why is because you are trying to get into that top 5%. Remember, we talked about this before. If you want to be at that elite level, if you want to be in that top 5%, you have to give up something in order to get it. And many times when you look at those elite athletes or people who are in those types of things, those types of bodybuilding shows, powerlifting events, they have to give up their health in order to get to that level because you have to go to an extreme. And I'm not looking to be in that top 5%. I'm looking to be in the top 20%, which means I can have that balance of a healthier lifestyle while still making myself look in a way that's above the average American. So looking at this food pyramid, again, it all starts with the base in terms of vegetables, all right? Vegetables, nothing wrong with that. And there's a lot of different types that you can have. You know, you can have the different leafy green vegetables, or the cruciferous, the marrows, which is kind of your pumpkin and your squash and your things like that. The different types of roots out there, the radishes, the carrots, you know, there are many different options for vegetables. And again, you can cook them in many different ways and season them. Try to leave the sauces off because guess what? Sauces have lots of sugar. All right, so try to leave those off and use more seasoning instead for your vegetables. You know, the next level should be that lean protein. All right, so now we're talking, you know, fish, chicken. You know, for those who you know, are more vegan or vegetarian, you know, your beans, your peas, your lentils, your tofu. You know, there's a lot of different options that you can have to get that lean protein, but it should be a significant portion of what we eat in the course of a day. All right. And again, this is a little bit of a change. You know, the first two levels of my pyramid are different than what you see from the FDA, where they're saying that grains should be like the base of our diet and everything. But unfortunately, you know, it's just too much. It's too much carbohydrate intake. It's too much energy. And don't get me wrong, carbohydrates are not bad. They've been vilified. But I think when you really get down to it, the carbohydrates that are being vilified, and rightfully so, are those processed foods. Things like fruits, vegetables, you know, single ingredient grains, like you see the third level of this pyramid, which is kind of divided up between fruit and grains. You know, if you use single ingredient grains, barley, brown rice, oatmeal, things like that, and for the fruits, again, nothing drenched in syrups or, you know, anything like that, but just pick it up, you know, one ingredient, you see what it is, you know what it is. Those types of fruits, I'm sorry, they're not bad for you. They have a lot of micronutrients that are going to make you keep you healthy, and they provide a good carbohydrate source for you to have appropriate levels of energy. And guess what? Those carbohydrates, that glucose that you get with the fruits and with the grains, your brain, your body needs those things in order to function at an optimal level. All right. So we want to make sure that we're not cutting those things out because our body, through the process of evolution, needs those things. It requires those things. It works more efficiently with them. But you have this top level, this top of the pyramid, which doesn't mean it's the most important. It means sparingly. And those are those processed foods that I talked about. Now, people always say, well, you can have them in moderation. And I completely agree. You want to know what moderation is? Look on the back of the package and actually look at what a serving size is. It is small. One serving of these things, 1 or 2 servings of these processed foods a day should be it. That should be it in your diet. But look at the serving size. Sometimes a small handful of crackers, the serving size. That's it. And that's like 200 calories right there. But then you have people eating half the damn box, and now you have 2,000 calories instead. Right? And what I tell people, you know, if you have a simple type of diet where everything is 1 or 2 ingredients, you know, per portion, it's hard to screw that up. It's hard to get fat, all right, or increase, you know, the amount of adipose tissue fat on your body by having, you know, ingredients that are 1 or 2 ingredients. Usually, when you look at my plate in the evening, you know, it's 5 ingredients or less. There's a protein, there's a vegetable, and there is some type of, you know, fruit or grain there in a certain type of portion, but it's usually 5 ingredients or less. So for any food that you're going to intake, put in your body, all right, look how many ingredients it is. If it's more than 5, and definitely if it's more than 10, try to minimize that as much as possible. And when I say minimize, 1, 2 servings at most at best, and then let it go. All right. Don't go above that, because there is nothing, there is no positive from having too much of those foods. There's no positive. There's no upside to any of it. They're full of processed sugars, chemicals, and everything, and it's basically a waste. All right, it's complete waste of your time and effort and everything. And what you'll find is that, really, when you stick to the basics, vegetables, lean protein, fruits, grains, single ingredient, you can eat a lot of those foods, and again, still not gain any significant amount of adipose tissue and everything. Because again, usually those types of foods, in their single ingredient form, are higher in their nutritional value, micronutrient, macronutrient, but lower in their caloric density. So you could have a lot more during the course of your day. So if you want to take this pyramid and kind of break it down, what would your plate look like if you were to break this down a little bit? This is a simple representation. So if you were to take your plate, a standard dinner plate, divide it up, half of it should be some type of vegetable. Right? Again, well seasoned, steamed. I do a lot of broccoli, asparagus, cauliflower. I'll do sometimes mixed vegetables, some carrots, and I'll mix it all up. But that's half the plate, right? And then I'm looking for another significant portion of it to be a lean protein, fish, chicken. I want to be able to look at food and say, I know exactly what that was when it was alive. All right, it had a face. I know what it is. Hamburgers, hot dogs, things like that. Are they protein? Technically, yes. Are they lean protein? Definitely not. And when I look at them, do I know what it was before? Nope. Sorry, I don't. So keep it simple on that. And then for that last portion, you can see it's not, I didn't take half of that half and everything. It's a little bit less. That single ingredient grain or a fruit or something along those lines will kind of help to meet your macronutrient intake for carbohydrates. Because remember, vegetables have carbohydrates in them, right? Again, you have to eat a lot of them to get a significant amount. But by combining half of your plate with another portion of a grain or fruit, you're going to get a good amount of appropriate carbohydrates into your diet to give you the right kind of energy to really go about your day in the right way. So again, it's just something I want to share. Don't overcomplicate things. Right? Everyone, again, you get on the internet and it's saying, don't eat this, don't eat this, don't eat this. We have an epidemic right now, a pandemic, thank God, but an epidemic in our country. We've heard of bulimia and anorexia and things like that. There's also something called orthorexia, and it's a newer type of diagnosis that's being seen in teenagers now, where they're trying to eat so perfect that they've eliminated almost all the foods, and they're scared of eating many types of foods because they've seen it on the internet where you don't eat this because you'll get fat, don't eat that because you'll get fat, don't eat that because it's unhealthy. And it gets to the point where, like I said, you will see on the internet them saying, don't eat carrots because guess what, the glycemic value is high, and that's not what, spike your blood sugar. It's gotten down to that point, and I think we all need to take a step back, use some common sense, for crying out loud, and know that, if we keep the processed stuff minimal, 1, 2 servings at most, but we really focus on the basics, vegetables, lean protein, and a starch or a grain, single ingredient grain, that's hard to screw up. That's really hard to screw up. And then you don't necessarily need to count calories as much. You don't need to count macros as much. You can keep it very simple. So I just recommend that for anybody out there. If you're looking, trying to figure out where do I start with all this nutrition stuff, and you can always adjust. I've found with some people that I've worked with in the past, they go with that route and they're actually they're losing more weight than they want to, possibly some muscle mass along with it. So we just change the portions a little bit to meet their needs. And some people, we have to adjust the other way because it's actually too much from one one category or another. So we adjust appropriately. It's a little bit of experimentation, but like I said, single ingredient, keeping your whole plate to 5 ingredients or less, it's hard to go wrong with that. So give it a try because nutrition is a big thing. All right. Working out's important. Working out is definitely important, but it's the food, the fuel that's going to fuel the body so you get the most out of your workout and you get the best gains possible. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. If you like this, again, click that like button, click the subscribe button so that you can get notifications for future videos. Again, for this month in November, we're going to be coming out with a lot more things for different recipes, but also what to consider in terms of eating around the holidays, along with the workouts as well. All right, you guys, you take care. Have a great day. And again, remember, struggle is strength.